This is 5 on your side at noon. Focused on you.
Tense moments in an early morning standoff between pro-Palestine protesters and police in riot gear on the campus of UCLA. Now over, but not before more than 100 of those people were arrested. Classes on campus canceled today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Maxwell. In just the last couple of hours, President Biden addressed the nation, condemning campus protests that have turned violent across the country.
So let me be clear. Peaceful protest in America. Violent protest is not protected. Peaceful protest is. It's against the law when violence occurs. Destroying property is not a peaceful protest.
Was the scene at UCLA overnight. You can see police breaking through the fences and barricades protesters had set up. The action coming after protesters defied initial orders to disperse. Here's NBC's Steve Patterson with the latest out of LA.
And just like that, as the sun has risen after a long night of flashbangs and smoke and obscenities and people being pulled out of this encampment, for the most part, it is over. I'm standing in the middle of what was this encampment for about a week here in the campus of UCLA, the library, Royce Hall. All of this now just a big mess. Police came in very swiftly overnight for about 3 hours or so, peeling and pulling essentially this entire encampment system down while detaining dozens and dozens of protesters. In fact, the estimate is over 100 people were arrested because they fought back pretty aggressively as well. Some of those protesters fashioning sort of shields, putting on helmets, saying they are not moving for anybody, and they didn't until the very end. Police, though, saying essentially nobody was injured. That includes police officers when bottles were thrown at them, and that includes trying to do the best they could to not only keep themselves safe, but the protesters themselves safe as well. Meanwhile, the university said that this was unlawful, and now it's over. Back to you.
Here in Missouri, all quiet now on St. Louis University's campus, but hours ago, a different scene. Hundreds of people packing the campus there, chanting against the war in the Middle East. Unlike what we saw over the weekend at WashU, there were no arrests reported on SLU's campus, but their message was heard.
I believe in the liberation of Palestine. I believe in the liberation from occupation all across the world. It is of utmost importance, and that's why I'm here.
As a Muslim woman, it is essential for me to show support from my brothers and sisters because my brothers and sisters has been under the war, under occupation for the past 75 years.
All of this coming at a time when anti-Semitic incidents are on the rise across the country. 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski spoke with members of the SLU Jewish community who say all of this combined is unsettling.
Wednesday night, pro-Palestinian protesters filled the center of St. Louis University's campus. Signs and chants saying "From the river to the sea" could be heard throughout the crowd.
The U.S. House has recently declared the chant "From the river to the sea" as hate speech, as it calls for the destruction of Israel.
But people are at odds with what the phrases and words mean. Jordan Kadosh with the Anti-Defamation League says sayings like this one and calls for intifada are seen as calls for violence and direct attacks on the Jewish community.
I mean, they'd be calling for it to happen overseas, but the fact that people were calling for it here in our community, that's just, that's out of line. And if we're gonna talk about what's appropriate and what isn't, and what's a peaceful protest and what isn't, calling for violence is not a peaceful protest.
Rabbi Jeffrey Abraham says he has people from both WashU and SLU in his congregation at B'nai Amunah and says it's been very difficult for them.
The last few days, I spoke about it from the pulpit and made sure to really talk about how important it is that we stand up against the hatred that we see around us, and we have to use our voices and allow them to be heard.
Daniel Greenspan is a grad student at SLU and proudly wears a yarmulke. He said he's had a tough time this year and actually avoided campus during the protests because he was worried about what might happen.
Twice last semester, somebody came to me in the library, made a beeline to me, threw pennies at me, and left. I have no reason to believe that they didn't have some sort of chat where they told somebody, hey, it's your turn to throw something at the Jew.
Kadosh says anti-Semitism is on the rise at an alarming rate. In Missouri, incidents have more than quadrupled.
Those incidents, they've been growing for a while. This is not new, it's just a spike on top of a growing wave. And it's really, it's disheartening. People feel like they're under siege.
Laura Barczewski, 5 on your side.
Both of the rabbis who spoke with us say their door remains open to anyone who may look for support. Stay with 5 on your side, on air and online for continuing coverage of campus protests. Just text the word protest to 314-425-5355. We'll send you a link.
All right, thank you, Mark. Switching gears to the weather, we're all on edge after seeing some very heavy showers and storms even last night. They were sub-severe, but a lot of lightning and downpours, especially from St. Louis to Arnold and on the Illinois side, so the Metro East getting hammered with those heavy rains. Right now, though, there's nothing on the radar, which is great news. So we're okay now. We're watching showers and storms to the northwest. Otherwise, some clouds and sunshine mixing in. It's 82 degrees in St. Louis right now, and that dew point's up. So we're watching this area of low pressure and the trailing cold front. So how much of a risk of severe weather do we have? Well, it's very isolated. Not everybody's going to see it, but we're watching mainly our western counties. It looks like early evening. This is just one of the models showing the showers and storms moving into the metro late evening and into the overnight hours, but really weakening as they do. So the threat of severe weather, extremely limited. Now it's been pushed back west of St. Louis, and an isolated risk for hail or high wind. Tornado threat remains down in Oklahoma and Texas. Much more on our forecast coming up. Mark?
Right now, Illinois State Police are looking for the person involved in a deadly shooting at a McDonald's in East St. Louis. It happened last night around 7 o'clock at the McDonald's on 25th and State Streets. State troopers say one person died, another taken to the hospital. Right now, we're working to learn their condition. This afternoon, closing statements are expected in the Thomas Kenworthy trial. Kenworthy is accused of killing a police officer in 2020. Our Travis Cummings breaks down what you need to know about the case.
I'm Travis Cummings reporting in downtown St. Louis. We are right outside of the Carnahan Courthouse where this afternoon closing arguments are taking place in the case of Thomas Kenworthy. That is the man accused of killing Officer Tamaris Bohannon, a city police officer, back in 2020. Last night, jurors heard some riveting testimony, including from a state forensic psychologist. She told the court she believes Kenworthy's mental health issues are not real. Again, he's accused of shooting and killing St. Louis officer Bohannon along Hartford Street back in 2020, not far from Grand Boulevard and Tower Grove Park in South St. Louis. This afternoon, his defense attorneys are still seeking a not guilty verdict by reason of mental defect. 2 psychologists testified for the defense, saying he was experiencing an acute psychotic episode at the time of the shooting. State psychologist Dr. Rachel Springman reviewed their findings. She believes something totally different.
The defendant presented with a very theatrical, dramatic, what felt like a performance at the beginning of the interview.
Bohannon's family was also in the courtroom all week long. Following these closing arguments, this case will be in the hands of the jury. Reporting in downtown St. Louis, Travis Cummings, 5 on your side.
Summer fast approaching, people packing bags and heading to the airports. Ahead, some tips on how to save big time with those vacation plans. Gas card giveaway, which parents might qualify. Ahead, our Diamond Palmer has those details from the St. Louis Public School District. Project 5 and behavioral health response teaming up to provide mental health counseling right now. If you or anyone you know might need mental health support, that is available until 10:30 tonight. You can call 988 and speak to a trained counselor. Teens can text Be Heard to 31658.